Welcome to the Conscious Creators Podcast, where we explore the real science of manifestation. We'll take you from mind mastery to self mastery. We'll share the yogic wisdom and its relation to neuroscience. We'll also explore quantum science and its relation to meditation. It's going to be an exciting journey, so if you feel stuck or overwhelmed, this is the right place to be. Get ready to go from the internet to the conscious net because I believe this is going to be a mind bending journey and give you the possibility to unlock your full potential. Welcome again. Good morning. Welcome to Conscious Creators Podcast. Today I have Erin Sunniva from Divine Singing. She is a priestess, a psychic, singer, sound healer, and a teacher and a mentor. There's a lot of stuff that you have going on with you. I am very excited to have you here on our podcast. The Conscious Creators Podcast is all about working with energy and manifesting the life that we desire. So, a lot to do with the spiritual energy that you work with. So, that's the reason I reached out to you, and I thought you will be a perfect guest to come and talk to us more about the stuff that you do and how you reach out to your people and what kind of services you provide. So, go ahead and take it from here. It's all yours.
Oh my goodness. No pressure. Thank you,
No,
Ron.
there's no pressure. We are actually we do this all the time. I'm just like you. When it comes, I also get frozen sometimes. But you are great. I had a great talk with you last time, and you are a natural at this stuff.
Thank
So
you. Thank you
yeah,
for inviting me here. I really appreciate it. Yeah, so as you said, I'm a priestess, singer, sound healer, teacher on the priestess path. So not everybody or every woman, I should say, that I work with calls themselves a priestess. That's what I call myself. It's how I see what I do.
uh-huh.
But my purpose on this planet is to help people heal on the soul level. So I'm a spiritual alchemist in that way through the use of hypnotherapy, past life regression, somatic therapy, deep presencing of self. And I support people in actually looking at themselves. And that might be the most difficult thing, is
Right.
actually looking at yourself
Oh
and
yeah.
loving yourself through what you could easily judge. you know we're all taught to criticize ourselves and judge ourselves in order to fit a mold that doesn't even belong to us. So I like to hold a space for people to shift out of that paradigm and into loving themselves no matter what, and facing their shadow, facing any past life spiritual karma or samskara that has shown up for them, and really allow their gifts as well to come forward. So I've been a professional psychic for 16 years, and we're such powerful beings. We're such
Right. Right.
powerful,
Mhm.
gifted beings, and so I think now more than ever, people are really waking up and realizing that they're psychic, realizing that they have extrasensory perception in one way or another. It would be really helpful if we could expand our language to say that we have 6 senses instead of just saying that we have 5, because that's very inaccurate, and that the 6th sense is a full spectrum.
Yeah, and that's the most powerful one. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and so important for us to have a connection to the universe, to our greater selves, to the earth, to the elements around us. The more that we can tune into the subtle nature of life and
Yeah.
our beings, our temples, and the things that are built in here with our sensories, we can really connect with nature, with each other, so much easier. Yeah.
So let's say, I mean, I'm trying to understand. I'm from India. and I'm a very, very spiritual person. Not so much religious, but more spiritual. I've always been like that. And I've studied this. This has been my interest right from. So this is kind of just like you, it's a calling for me, just to help people understand and awaken their sixth senses, their personal powers, And then, of course, my focus is on helping people use that knowledge to manifest. And so, like you said, we have that innate power within us. We just need to figure out, first of all, I mean, belief is everything. You have to believe it. But the mind, the way we are trained to use our brain, we always talk about mind mastery and stuff. And I always say the mind is not in the body. The body is actually in the mind. It's the other way around, So if we get to see that. But when a person comes to you, first of all, what kind of people would reach out to you? Number one. And second question is a two-part question. What kind of people reach out to you? And then if somebody reaches out to you who doesn't have much understanding about this, the universal realm, that part of the stuff that people don't know about, the spirituality stuff. So how does that work with that?
So first, the kind of people who are reaching out to me are people who are curious, first of all. They have an inkling that there's more to life than they're experiencing.
Right.
Also, a lot of people, especially that are coming to me now, are people who need spirit releasement therapy. So that is a very specific specialty of mine, of entity removal and soul recall. So this is a specific training that I have actually basically had in my pocket my whole life. My father is a master hypnotherapist. So I was raised with this protocol, this tool of working with Archangel Michael. And so that has really been filling my life lately, because it's becoming quite popular and people are realizing that they have energetic or entity attachments or even earthbound spirits. And we're actually in this place while, with all of this solar activity and all of the spiritual awakening that's happening, the veils between the worlds are getting thinner. And so people are actually realizing, oh my gosh, there are beings everywhere, or maybe my house is haunted, or, my grandmother is with me and she needs to go home to the light, or whatever it is. So these are the kind of people that are coming to me. Most of the time, the individuals who come are already spiritually inclined. It's very rare that I will have a client who doesn't believe in an ounce of what I'm doing, or else they wouldn't have found me. I have had sessions, it makes me think of one or two sessions where somebody will have a session with me and they'll have such a great time, and that they'll want their spouse to do a session with me, but their spouse is cynical and like, let's see how good this is.
Yeah.
And nobody can work with that. Like if somebody is closed off and doubtful, then the session literally doesn't work,
Right.
So, and I've had to communicate, like, I understand that you are full of doubt right now. And so that is making everything shut down. Right. So I'm not able, my psychic abilities are not able to open for someone who's not ready to receive.
So you really believe that a person, like a client, like let's say a spouse, is able to shut themselves where you cannot penetrate them. So would that apply the same way? I'm always been curious about this, because where I come from in India, we call it jadoo tona, or like a witchcraft, but where somebody puts a spell on you or something like that. So is this person or is anybody able to shield their own energy where no spells can reach out to them, or how does that work actually?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is one of the key pieces with the therapeutic process too in
Okay.
spirit releasement, is the actual sealing of the field. And this is what I would say is, I mean, such a key piece, is 3 parts to the process of clearing, calling back soul parts, and then sealing the field.
Oh,
And
I see. Okay.
yeah, so if you like, I could give you a demonstration.
Oh, sure, sure. I'm open for it. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll just do the simple script. I'm not going to look for anything, say, in your field or in my own field. This is the simple script that I use. And within the script, I do inquiry. So first I do a scan, and then I notice what is there, and do inquiry with, communicate to the energies or entities that I see and ask them why they're there, what are they doing, how long have you been here, what was happening with this individual that made them vulnerable to you. And sometimes they've been there for millennia, sometimes they came in last week, there's all kinds of situations. And I'm seeing energies, entities, earthbound spirits, as I said, curses, cords, sigils, right? So definitely, like, if you feel like there's been witchcraft put on you, we can look for that. I can tell when that kind of energy signature is present.
Uh-huh.
And so once we do that, we do the clearing of that, and then we need to call back soul parts, because we can become fragmented when there are these other entities or energies in our field, or if we have a traumatic experience, we can become fragmented. And so we call back those soul parts, and then we seal the field so that no further intrusions can happen. Now, the sealing of the field is definitely something that people need to do on a regular basis. I do it every day. I
Oh, okay.
even do it at the beginning of sessions if I'm having intense conversations that might be controversial
Uh-huh.
to the current paradigm. There are a lot of watchers. There are a lot of multidimensional individuals who are in charge of keeping us down.
Right.
So that's where the protection really is necessary, that, like, we can have potent conversations and not feel like somebody's watching us, or even have intense emotions and not feel like there's something that is consuming our energy and building it in order to consume it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, no, I get. I mean, I have a clear vision about this stuff because like I said, I've been understanding. I understand this quite well, but my interest mostly is in the mind and brain and that neurology and all that kind of. And my approach to this is more of a yogic perspective. I use yoga like body, mind, and spirit. In there, we use the spirit as well, but in a different approach. Whereas you begin with the spirit part of it, right? I mean, your stuff is spiritual and more into the universal, different realms where you have the psychic ability to see that, right? That's what. And those most of the time, uh, you teach people how to activate those energies as well. I mean, that abilities, right, in people.
Right.
That's
Absolutely. Yeah.
that's what your mentorship program is about.
Right. Right. So I have a Magdalene mentorship, it's called, and it's a 3-month program. It's very much an activation program, catalyze your life,
Uh-huh.
truly. And it goes through, it includes the spirit releasement training. There's the learning how to access the Akashic records and develop your psychic abilities and really understand which parts you're good at already, where your talents lie. Like maybe clairvoyance, you can see with your mind's eye really well, or your intuition feels really strong, or maybe you have automatic knowing, that's clear cognizance. You feel things in your body, and that's oftentimes with empaths, right? They feel other people's energy, who they're with. That's clairsentience. We want to call them empaths, but really, what they are is their clairsentience. And then there's clairaudience as well, that you can have hearing and you can hear people talking, stuff like that. So so developing with that, and it's, I created it for women, but I'm actually starting to have men ask me to also train them. And so
I was just about to ask that.
so I give them the training that does not include the feminine mysteries aspect. And so, but within that whole thing, there's also 6 one-on-one sessions with me. So they're learning a lot, they're training a lot, and they're also doing deep healing at the same time. So
but all beings have like male and masculine and feminine energies within themselves, right? So some like I have a lot of feminine energy in myself. I lean towards a lot of things that are more and then the other side, there is my ego side, is more totally masculine, that pops up quite often. But otherwise I am quite nurturing and sharing and all that stuff. So we all have male and female energies within, and it depends on how we are conditioned to use them, right, in childhood. So that's where it changes.
Well, so the perspective that I'm coming from has nothing to do with how much masculine or feminine energy you carry. This is whether you are a wombed human or not. So this is what I mean when I talk about the feminine mysteries. This is actually the magical abilities that I would actually call them magical, because it's quite amazing what it to tap into the power of the womb, and but I also want to say that I do feel at the same time that we hold everything. So if we can also remember our whole selves, right, in this fully balanced masculine and feminine, in our original way that we were, which was unified, which before the polarity, right, before the duality of this dense reality that we're in. So you still contain, in my opinion, you still contain an energetic womb, because you're human, right? And I would say for myself, I contain within my being an energetic phallus. I have, I have the seed within me energetically, because original humans were whole. And so this lives within our DNA, and all of our past lives and everything. We've run the gamut, right, between masculine and feminine. So if we consider ourselves on a quantum level as whole beings, I carry that other part of the life source, which is the seed, within my energetic body. Right.
We call, we have a deity called Ardhanarishwar, half man, half woman, which is the Shiva and Shakti. So Shiva is the creator and the Shakti is the creation. So they both put together, it comes in the energy form. So do you also see into like multiple life, rebirth and birth and rebirth cycles? Do you believe in that?
Absolutely.
So you could be a woman this time, but in the last birth you were a man, or I could have been a female last. I mean, it could have been.
I've seen a lot of my lives. I've done a lot of past life regression, and have seen many lives where I was men.
I see. So okay. So, and how far it goes? Like how many lives, or does it?
Thousands.
Yeah, we have 84,000 is what the number that in the Indian Hindu scriptures they say 84,000 lives.
I believe it.
So,
I believe it.
So that I mean that could be every time, like you are an ant or you are a plant The trees have the
Oh,
longest lives, the alligators and stuff like that. But humans have, like, now it's they say about 80 is the average age now. But it's
well,
everybody
the
is
fun
different.
thing to imagine is like, okay, well, our present form of history is very limited because there's a lot that's hidden from us. So if we could imagine how far back humanity has actually been on the planet, it's a lot easier to understand 84,000. Yeah, that makes sense if we're going back hundreds of thousands of years, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
our textbooks would say maybe 50,000 years at the most, but
Yeah,
that's been debunked time and time again, right? And now there's also more unveiling that's happening around humanity's history that could be millions of years, that in different kind of permutations of,
yeah, because the current history is only, like you said, about 50,000. The human age is 50,000 since we became
right.
ape. From ape we turn into man. That's only 50,000. But on the other end, when you start looking at different avatars, or when different kind of organism, that's millions of years before we became human beings all the way.
Well, they're still finding evidence of humanity, 500,000 years ago.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I haven't come across that. Yeah, but that, so there's really, there is so much in the science, and really, if you look at it, it's very controlled. They want you, they want you
Absolutely.
to know only what you want. They want you to know. They don't want you to learn everything. They don't
Yeah,
want
and
you to actually.
honestly, we have to be careful if we're going to be on YouTube. We have to be careful with what we talk about,
Yeah,
because they're continuing their efforts to keep the control over humanity's true history.
yeah, but I think it's a natural evolution, because things like now the technology is getting so bigger and bigger, so powerful, where the people are starting to learn themselves. People are drawn to certain kind of interest, and they are evolving. I mean, you cannot stop that evolution. That is, you cannot
Mm.
fight universe. I mean, the universe has its own way of, nature has its way of doing. I think we start to realize that when something like a tsunami or earthquake or something happens, we start to realize how small we are, how helpless we are. It
Yeah,
is amazing.
nature is definitely powerful.
And
Yes.
how did Corona affect your work? You have more people coming before, or how did it work out for you?
Well, I was already working remotely. Um,
I see.
so I've been working on Zoom for years, so it didn't really affect it too much. I mean, it's grown since then. I think COVID was a big awakener for a lot of people,
Right, right.
and so my work has definitely grown, especially as I said with the spirit releasement specialty that I
Uh-huh.
have.
So did you have like did you have to retune yourself, or how did it work? I mean, personally for you, uh, or you said you were already working with Zoom before that. So how is that experience different energetically for you when somebody is in front of you compared to somebody, on Zoom?
Well, I mean, there's nothing that can compare to physical presence, right? When you're really able to be in each other's heart field, it amplifies the experience, of course, but I also like to say that spirit doesn't matter. So there's actually no separation from where you are and where I am. I have
Right,
clients
right.
around the world. I have clients in Singapore, New Zealand, Australia, South Africa, Canada, the UK, Iceland, so there's no separation. And the way that I work is if I'm doing spirit releasement, I'm calling your spirit into my field so that I
I
can
see. Okay.
check you and see all of the things. And I have a lot of help with the angels, support me, and I work with the Christ consciousness. So I feel like I have a lot of support to remove that kind of mindset that there is a separation between us. Yeah.
Well, it's for every human being, there is a separation. Otherwise, we wouldn't be human beings. We are not the spirit beings because we don't believe we are, because of the separation is the brain. Yeah, that separates us from everything. Yeah. The day we recognize that there is no separation, we are enlightened.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So we are all striving towards that growth, and that, so we have, like, I have moments where, you feel connected, everything is going. And so you have more you practice, the more your day grows to that feeling and that experience.
Yeah.
And then you come back to your conditioned brain, then you start realizing, okay,
why are you so far away from me?
Yeah, right. So, I think the reason I ask you certain things, I know the answers, but I like for our listeners also to get that feeling of, what might be going through their head, or something, what questions they might have. So that's the point I am trying to come across from, because it's easier for me to ask questions and then you respond to me, because then you explain to me in a way where I can understand, where an average person's mind can understand it,
Sure.
because that's the thing. So, okay, so you're going to do something with me?
Yeah. So go ahead and connect to the divine in the way that you do personally. Go ahead and close your eyes. And I call upon the presence of the Archangel Michael and the angels of the white light to come to Raja where he is, and run a mesh of pure white light through his being, gathering up any and all energies, entities, any earthbound spirits who are ready to go to the light, hooks, ties, tethers, binds, curses, sigils, or vows that might be in his field, anything that does not belong to him or serve his highest good. Gather them up, remove them completely, heal them in the light, and return them to their appropriate place within the light now. Just notice if you have any sensations. You may or you may not. And Archangel Michael, angels of the white light, please search throughout all of creation for all pieces, parts, or fragments of Raja's being that may have been lost or scattered along the way for any reason. Through all realities, dimensions, lifetimes, and timelines, gather them up, heal them in the light, and return them to their appropriate place within his being, fully integrating now. And let me know if you notice anything.
Sure.
Thank you. Archangel Michael, I ask that you fill Raja's field with his highest monadic seed source energy, and that you seal his field with the white diamond light, with the rainbow ray, and with the healing golden ray. And on the outside of all of that, the iridium elemental ray. Anything that is not love cannot enter Raja's field. It bounces back upon itself. And finally, Archangel Michael, please sheath your sword in Raja's spine now, fortifying his field and supporting him physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Thank you so much.
Oh, that is powerful. Yeah, that I was getting that cough, and when you said that healing golden light, all of a sudden that
Yeah.
just went off. That was interesting. Yeah,
Awesome.
so that's
So
amazing.
usually,
That's
like
cool.
as I said before, like in the process, I'm setting a very strong container. So I have an invocation at the beginning, and then I'm actually scanning you and looking at specific things that might be in your field and tending to them.
Right,
But
right.
this is, but
Okay.
even just by doing this, so if you don't know how to scan yourself or you don't have the wherewithal, that you can just be like, I just, something's off, I'm just gonna do the clearing, you know. and
Right, right.
and you know, I do that for me at the end of the day. I do it for my kids when they're a little bit off too, you know. Yeah, yeah, it's an important tool.
Yeah. So how you said your program was three months? What kind of program that mentorship it was, right?
Right. So in that process, you're getting, there's weekly modules. So it's all online. There's weekly
Okay.
pre-recorded videos, lectures, meditations, trainings. And there's, you know, so like I said, the feminine mysteries, the Celtic pagan wheel of the year. So I'm Irish Celtic. So I'm also bringing in that kind of earth-based wisdom, how to create a sacred container, casting a circle, calling the directions, or just having a simple invocation for yourself, and how to hold that container as well, and then release it when you're done. And then what happens inside that container, spiritual alchemy. So understanding what alchemy is, spiritual alchemy is, which is, you know, transmuting something from one vibration to a higher vibration, right? Turning lead into gold represents us actually applying the divine light or applying love to a frequency so that it can heal and transform, right?
So when you're talking the word, can you tell me a little bit more about the word alchemy? It's very interesting. I don't, my English is my second language,
Yeah,
so maybe you can guide me more into
yeah,
this. I've heard that word several times. Yeah.
yeah. So alchemy is, I would say, the scientific measure of our magical world.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And so we're working with the elements, we're working with nature in order to create change. And there is an alchemical process. There's a physical one that happens in science, you know, and then there is the spiritual alchemization of our being that is the integration of life process, life experience, the healing that happens within us. This is all alchemy. It's the healing that happens that brings us from a lower vibration to a higher vibration. And so using the tool of love, the gift of love, in the form of divine light, we apply it to the wounds of the soul so that those wounds can heal and teach us something. The whole point of our karmic process of the soul is to learn, right? Is to grow and to heal. And so that whole process is alchemy.
So what part, I mean, in your belief system, what part, like how much of the destiny and how much of the creation is ourselves, or how much is predestined? What is your belief into that, or understanding about that? Not necessarily
It's
belief,
such a
but
good
what is
question.
your how much is like you are preordained kind of thing to be in your life to be a priestess, so you naturally feel like I'm a yogi, I call myself a urban yogi because I'm not a practicing yoga teacher. I am a yogi in lifestyle, but
Right.
not necessarily I practice it, because I believe more into meditation than into yoga, because yoga is here what we practice yoga is just related to the body.
Right.
Whereas meditation and going deeper
Yes.
is more related to the work that you do, so the spiritual aspect of it and working with your higher self. So in that, I always wondered, and I always like to talk to people who are, more interested in this stuff, is how much of your belief says that, okay, this is predestined, or uh, this is
Yeah.
how it is. It's kismet. We call it kismet.
Yeah, kismet. I love kismet. So it's such a great question. I love talking about this because in my experience in hypnotherapy, it's absolutely informed this question. So, so it's important for us to recognize that life is multidimensional. Quantum is a word that is tossed around a lot these days, and we're still figuring out what that even means. I think we're still as humans trying to grasp what that is. But another way to look at it is multidimensional. And in our multidimensional experience, it's through the process of incarnation, we are having we have our life review, right, after we die, and then we have a planning period. So we have this process where we're alchemizing the life that we just lived, because now we've gone home to the light, where before in that life there may have been separation, right, from the divine. But once we go home to the divine, then we can be like, oh, that hurt. I didn't like that. Oh, that's why that happened. Oh, I forgive them, right? There's this whole kind of process that we go through to kind of take notes and receive, like all of the lessons. And in that process, we're also impressing the sanskara, right, or the maya, the dark experience, the beliefs that were informing that life experience that are carried through the lifetimes. Okay, so you have an experience of poverty in one life, then that makes you believe on a soul level, even because you believe it so much, that life is difficult and you will always be poor, right? You carry that through into your life review, and if there isn't, because you believe it so strongly, you might not alchemize that belief. And so then that belief is written into the soul. You carry that into this life. But in the planning period, you might say, okay, and this is happening on the soul level. Okay, we might have this belief still. Okay, well, we want to heal this belief. So we're going to create an opportunity for us to heal this belief by believing it and, creating opportunity for that to change. We may or may not pick up on that opportunity, but the opportunity is written into the script of the life. We go into that life, we have our beliefs that are, you may call it predestined, right? I would say it's written.
Samskara, what you call that's what we call the samskara, the conditioned, the sanskars that we already got in your karmic print.
Right. So this comes through, you're born into a life believing that you are poor. You believe that life is filled with poverty and hardship, okay? But you have written into your script the opportunity to heal this. And so you'll be given opportunities until you see them and accept them, right? To heal that experience. Now, you may or may not heal it. So that's what I would say, that predestined part is the desire on the soul level for this sanskara to be healed, to be alchemized, right?
Okay.
But then there's the part of free will in the life that you actually have to do the work. Right? So discovering, I have this belief. Oh shit, I'm writing my own story. Let me change it. That's where, okay, this is predestined, this is free will. So it's a combination of both. right?
But okay, so here's your predestined and here's your free will. In between, the parents, the society, the upbringing, all have conditioned you to be something totally different, right?
Yeah.
So you want to be something which it was predestined. So it keeps on, the opportunity keeps on coming on your way, and they keep on knocking on your door. Is whether you open the door or not, it's up to
Exactly.
you. So we are all here for a particular purpose. So that is your individual life purpose, right? But then there is a higher obligation to the humanity. Then we have that as well.
Right.
How
Right.
do you see, I mean, how do you see that? We have, like, different ways of different purpose of life. One for yourself, one is, so you go through phases of life in a yogic system. There is 4 ashrams. So first you take care of yourself, your conditioning, then you take care of your family, then you take care of the society, and then again you go back to the universe. And we call it a vanaprastha, where you go in. Nobody goes into the jungles anymore to connect with gods. Used to be, in the old days, they used to leave home, and that's how Buddha went out, right? So
Yeah.
he went to connect with the universe, and then he was enlightened. So do you have the same process? Or I would love to connect, for us to do something together, where you explain certain things, I explain certain things,
Yeah.
and
I
if we
love
can
it.
fuse it together, it would
Yeah, I
be,
love it.
yeah.
I think we're like looking at two sides to the same coin.
Right. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
And we're looking
So
through the filter of our individual cultures,
condition, yeah,
right,
yeah.
in our conditionings. Exactly.
Right.
So it's a great question. I think in Western society, we are not raised so as much as within your culture of what you owe to your community, right? In that sense of support and healing the community and what you need to give back. There's very much this, like, manifest destiny sort of mindset of me, myself, and I. And that the community doesn't matter. I'm going to I'm going to become
Yeah.
a self-made
Right.
millionaire, and nobody helped
Right.
me along the way, and so why should I pay back anything? That very selfish mindset is really potent and strong in the society, in Western society. But at the same time, if someone were just simply connected to their heart, they would desire to give back in some way. My personal belief, or I guess the way that I work, is that I almost always have one pro bono client that I'm working
Uh-huh.
with.
Right. Right.
So that I listen, like, okay, this person, like recently I had a single mother who was struggling with a court case with her abusive ex. I'm like, I will absolutely help you. Like,
Right.
this is a
Yeah.
situation where, yeah, you need some support. And so I go where I'm called in that sense. And I love to give back to the community. For me, the way that I give back to community is sharing the wisdom that's moving through in the divine moment, because
That's
that,
true.
through Facebook or through social media. And I know that whether or not people are clients of mine, that they're still able to receive the medicine that's part of my purpose,
Yeah.
to share them, or life.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
knowledge, I mean, obviously the knowledge is the key, because what you are sharing with the world is something that is much needed. People talk about energy. I mean, we all talk about energy, but we don't really understand what really energy is. Like you were saying earlier about quantum science. I mean, we are using the science really. Like right now you are connected with me, right? I mean, we don't even have no wires, no nothing, right? It's the energy. Somebody has figured out how to harness that energy.
Mhm.
So we are using the knowledge about the energy for technology, to enhance the technology, but we have not used that knowledge to really, for our personal growth. And we
Mhm.
have, like, you have so much understanding and so much knowledge about this energy and the universal world, and how to raise the frequency and how to go from one level to the next level. So all that energetic understanding is very much necessary. So like, one thing I say is like, uh, for example, in my Facebook, I see so many people who are trying to develop their business fall for this promises. This is, I will get you so many clients. It's marketing, marketing, marketing. But people try so much of the marketing, so much of business tactics and social media work, but personally they have not shifted their energy. And until and unless they do work like you do, what you are saying about, I like the word that you said was like, uh, identifying that first, then cleansing it, and then shielding it. That's been in, I think you said it in a different way. I don't know how you said
Yeah,
it, but those three process, right? Three-step
right,
process. What,
right.
what was that three-step process for you?
So clearing your field, calling back
Clearing.
parts, and sealing your field.
Okay, yeah. So that until and unless they go through, everybody has to, in a way, at a certain point, have to go through this feeling of wholeness, feeling, and that's what your services are about, right?
Well, especially to this point about like business, how to grow your business, how to make more money, you have to look at your beliefs around money first. If you want to change anything,
Right.
you have to
Absolutely.
understand what you believe first.
Right. Yeah.
And so if you can, wherever you are, if you can shift that to a higher plane first, of that there is a limitless resource, you
Yes.
have to believe, you have to truly believe that there's infinite resources for everyone, not just that guy next to you in the Maserati. Like, how did that guy tap that? Because he believes,
Right.
he believes that there's enough for him and he can have whatever he wants. And so here he is experiencing that, but so we have to also pay attention to where we're contracting, where we're like, oh, I don't feel like I, can have prosperity. I don't know what it feels like, And so in order to alchemize that, we actually have to use our imagination to say, okay, I'm going to imagine what it feels like to have money. Even just to start with that, like, I'm going to imagine, what does it feel like if I had, $100,000 in the bank? What would that even feel like? That feels so foreign to me, somebody who's not ever saved money.
Right.
I feel like, I don't even know. Okay, but you have an imagination, and your imagination is a lot more powerful than you think it is, And so when we can, like, okay, I'm just going to pretend, or what is, if I had $100,000 in the bank, what would I look like? What would I dress like? What would I do with my life? What activities would I do? So you imagine yourself doing these things, and then you start to feel what it feels like to be in that situation, in the image in your mind. And it's that feeling, right? That emotional connection of, oh my God, I feel supported. I feel relaxed. I feel joyful. I feel full. I feel satisfied, all of these different pieces. And then you magnify them. Wow, awesome. Okay, I want every single cell in my body to feel this feeling right now. And the brain takes that and says, this is true.
So that's a lot of conditioning to the brain. Like, that's what they are talking about now, neurohacking or neuroplasticity and all that.
Right.
If you have seen poverty all your life, or if you've been thinking about it, or you're conditioned to believe that it's hard to get the money, or you don't deserve it, or whatever. So your brain is so much conditioned to believe that. It's the neuroplasticity now they're talking about. But so I believe into that one part of it. That's the physical experience, what you're talking about. Then we also talked about the karmic print, so that your destiny, right? So somewhere along between these two things, you have to see what is your gift, what is your interest, right? So it believes, and besides the belief that you are talking about, you also have to understand the science that we create our own reality. You have to believe in that science that, okay, we are the creator. We are a kind of maybe a mini creator, but we are still creating our destiny. And so that
Yeah.
understanding between the destiny and between your conditioned mind, the whole dance and play happens. That's what we call life. Is that's the way we come across from that. How you understand and how you shift that. And that's it fascinates me. I get so excited. I get goosebumps when I talk to somebody like you, who you have a feeling of this other entities and the other side, the unseen to an average person. You can see what's unseen to an average person. So that's the part of it. Now, at what age did you develop this? Or you said you worked a lot with your dad, right?
I worked a lot with my dad, but I was already psychic. I was already, I think I had claircognizance as a child. I knew when things were happening. I knew what was happening, or and it's funny because I don't actually remember it very much, but recently my father, I think I asked him, was like, have I really been psychic my whole life? And he's like, oh yeah, when you were a kid, we almost had like it was like an inside joke or a running joke that you'd be like, because I'm psychic, like because you would know things, you would just know things. And so there was always that presence, but the ability to see definitely evolved because of my process with hypnotherapy. I started going to a hypnotherapist, not my father, when I was 16. I was really depressed in high school. And so I went and saw her, and after like 6 weeks of seeing her weekly and doing past life regression and just tending to all the little issues that I was dealing with, I was so much happier and able to enjoy high school at that time. But I would say that the process of hypnotherapy develops your intuition. It develops your ability to have clairvoyance, because you're tapping into your subconscious. You're letting the conscious mind go. You're letting the ego go, and you really have to trust. You have to develop the muscle of trusting in order for the work to work. You have to trust that your subconscious is in charge, that you're not making it up, whatever it is that's coming up. And that's the first thing that people are like, I don't believe this. I got to be making this up. And it's like, just believe it. Just pretend that you believe it, and we'll keep going, But doing that work, I've watched my clients develop their inner sight just from doing past life regression together. Yeah.
So, and all the work, like all the modules and all the work that you have done, assimilated, put together, was there you, like it came to you, you downloaded that stuff? How did that, like I was writing when I have written 4 or 5 books. I don't even remember how that was happening. I remember every day I would get certain things. I still wake up at 2, 3 o'clock in the night, write down a bunch of things or do some drawings and stuff like that, go back to sleep. Then I wake up and try to make sense. Sometimes it makes sense, sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes 6 months later that I open the book and then it makes sense. So did you get those kind of downloads where you wrote this stuff put together, or how was it organized, or did you go through some training yourself?
Well, I did go through some training myself. So the spirit releasement protocol, that's in there. That's my father's protocol that he developed. So he wrote a book called The New Regression Therapy, incorporating the divine light into the hypnotherapeutic past life regression process or protocol. And so he's kind of turning hypnotherapy on its head by bringing the divine into it.
Right. How does that scientific community take of that? People who went through college to get these degrees, and now all of a sudden they are looking at this spiritual stuff to look at it or incorporate that in their system.
Well, it'd be really fantastic if psychotherapy wanted to incorporate his book into their system. But, he's kind of outside of, I mean, he's a, trained psychotherapist, or he didn't go to school for psychotherapy, but he did study with Gestalt in the 70s, like the man created Gestalt therapy. So he has that kind of underlying, plus he's a priest, he's a reverend himself. So he had it still has a connection to a particular Christian order, but it's not about the religion for him. It's all about the spirit. It's all about Jesus for him, and just his personal relationship to Jesus, and working with Jesus and the evolution of John the Baptist in the form of the heart of Elijah, who is basically that soul evolution of John the Baptist and the spirit of Elijah. So that is incorporated into these protocols. That
his work. Okay, yeah.
And I can tell from my own experience, because I went to, when I was having a hard time in college, I found a local hypnotherapist, and because I swear by hypnotherapy, I'm like, well, I'm going to find a hypnotherapist if I'm going to, do some healing.
Right.
And so I did a few sessions with this woman, and she doesn't have the divine in her protocol. And I was like, well, where's the healing? So there's, it's been welcomed immensely in some hypnotherapy communities. To answer your question, it's been very well welcomed. But and he's actually very well known in the hypnotherapy world, in the International Hypnotherapy Association, and he is actually doing direct teaching to I'm not sure of the full name, but it's actually a Russian hypnotherapy organization. He's teaching them online directly, and has students that are Russian and stuff. So so that is what was already written for me that I teach in my mentorship. But a lot of it was channeled. A lot of it was my own interpretation of work. Yeah. Especially the way that I teach how to access the Akashic records is my own process. I don't know how other people do it. I think there are a lot of ways to tap into the Akashic. And so I share, because I am an experiential teacher. Everything that I teach, I have experienced myself. I could not teach something that I have not firsthand experience with. And so all of the processes, especially there's deep work with connecting into the temple of the heart and being able to travel throughout the dimensions, throughout the cosmos by entering the temple of the heart. Really, you can do anything within the temple of the heart. So there are a lot of really key tools that have been handed to me, right? So the entering into the temple of the heart was a gift that was given to me by a former teacher, who also activated my light language and encouraged me to pursue sound healing as a singer. So I'm a trained opera singer, and I'm like, yeah, but what am I supposed to do with my voice? I'm a healer. Like, what am I doing here? And so I was able to realize, oh, well, don't silo your gifts. Everything goes together. So in my sessions, whether, whatever the work that we're doing, I'm toning, I'm bringing in light language, we're alchemizing, we're doing past life regression, we're doing spirit releasement, we're doing womb work, so it's like everything that I do is explained in all of these modules.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. I think I got the idea myself, because you're talking about the singing came naturally to you. The cooking comes naturally. I'm a certified chef by profession. In my past past career. 20 years ago, I used to be a chef. I still cook at home, but nothing professionally. But I think I need to figure out how to weave that into my yogic and coaching practices and stuff like
Yeah.
that. I'll have to figure
Mhm.
that part out. Yeah, that's so.
What
Yeah,
rest-
these things that we have our gifts. Sometimes it's for earlier part of the life. Sometimes it comes later on. So this, for me, the yogic wisdom it's in my DNA. My grandfather was a great yogi, just like yourself. Your dad is more involved into this work. My grandfather was more involved into the yogic practice. So I had it in me, but it didn't, when I came here, I'm still materialistic. I'm not going to say I'm not materialistic. I love the finer things in life still, but at earlier stage up to 35, 40 age, I was more focused into something different. Now after that, after I would say around 2006, law of attraction and all that stuff started coming out. That's when I started learning more and more. Going back to India, then I studied my scriptures and tried to understand what is the universal power, why some people have a great life, some people struggle so much, and what are, and then going deeper. That's when I came across some of your stuff, is talking about the regression, past life stuff and all that. So the East and West has a lot of stuff that comes together. You talk about the samskara and all that stuff. So but lot average person does not have a complete understanding of this, and that's where I really appreciate you taking the time. We are at the top of the hour. 1 hour passed by. I don't even remember what we talk about, but it was a great conversation today. So I really, really appreciate you coming on, and hopefully we'll have to do this again, where we can, talk more about how this East and West can kind of fuse together, and we can bring our knowledge together, share that with people, where they understand that uh, they have these invisible powers. Everyone has a way to go to a higher potential. We all have full potential, but not most of us are not using that potential. And sometimes I feel like your work that really excites me is like, in a way I could say, it's like you have a block, like in the sink, there is a ball of hair and the water is not flowing through. So that you are like a spiritual plumber. You'll come and remove that, the block, and then the water starts.
I love that.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to
the
say
first
that
time
way, but that's basically what
yeah, that's the first
that's
time
basically
anybody
what
called
we
me
do, is
the
we cleanse.
spiritual plumber. Yeah, the spiritual plumber. I like that. Thank you.
But you remove that stagnated energy, and once that
Yeah,
energy gets
absolutely.
out of the way, life starts to flow. And once you're in this
Yeah,
ram and
absolutely.
everything is flowing, and you are going with
Well,
the universe.
really,
Yeah,
it's really important for people to realize that the majority of their issues in life, whether that's money or addiction or emotional imbalance, could all very well be very simple, and they could even be a factor of an entity attachment. I have worked with alcoholics. I work with people with disease, and we're looking at the beliefs, we're clearing their field, and we're seeing where all of these little things have a spiritual reason.
very
Even down to
absolutely.
like, why is my left hip hurting? Well, because unfortunately you were stabbed there in your last life, so let's take that out of you. And so there's all kinds of things that could be happening that we actually have to look at from the spiritual perspective, so that we can heal. And everything that manifests in the physical world manifested in the spiritual world first.
First, yeah,
So if we can
exactly,
tend
exactly.
to the things that are presenting themselves maybe emotionally, mentally, spiritually, then they don't have to manifest in the form of dis-ease later. Right? Because dis-ease is the body saying something's really wrong,
Yeah.
And
Something's blocking, the energy is not flowing.
Yeah, we don't have to have surgery all the time. We don't have to be removing body parts. We need to be healing why this is here in the first place.
Yeah. I think that would make so much difference, and I say, like, a lot of times out of ignorance, we are kind of blocking our own blessings, in a way. This whatever feeling that you are having, or if you're having a pain in the shoulder or whatever, you're carrying a lot of weight from the past life, whatever, it's like a blessing, but you just don't see it yet. We are not seeing, because like you have the power to see what's behind the scenes. It's like a x-ray. The doctor can look at your MRI or an x-ray and see, oh, that's a broken bone, or there's a bone spur or something like that, and you feel like, my knee has been hurting all this while for just that small thing. So that's way to come. So what would be so I've taken a lot of your time. I appreciate it again. And what would be the best way for people to contact you, and how to get in touch with?
Yeah, my website is divinesinging.com, DIVINE singing. And, that's the best way you can see the different sessions that I do, my mentorship work, and I'm currently receiving the next level of work that comes after the mentorship for my more advanced students. So that's developing right now as well, and that's really exciting. So yeah, divinesinging.com. So, you can there, and if you looked on Facebook or Instagram for Divine Singing, you'd also find me.
Okay, great. So if somebody, any of our listeners, is experiencing some kind of a blocks in life, whether it's health, wealth, relationship, personal growth, addiction, or anything it could be, and some kind of, you believe that there is an energetic block somewhere, she is the person, Erin is the person that you want to reach out to. And she gave her divinesinging.com. So please reach out to her. And thank you so much, Erin, for your time. I really appreciate it. And it was a pleasure talking to you. Okay.
Likewise. Thank you so much. Namaste.
All right. Namaste. Thank you for tuning into another enlightening episode of the Conscious Creators Podcast. We hope you found inspiration and insights that will empower your life journey. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this podcast to help spread the wisdom so it can reach more seekers of truth and transformation. Your engagement really fuels us. Stay connected with us on social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and download our app or join our thriving community. Remember, between where you are and where you want to be, the only thing that comes in the way is your mind. It's all about going from mind mastery to self mastery. Until next time, namaste.